What makes a branded content pitch truly irresistible? And how do you make sure to hit a home run with your new pitch when the client initially had a completely different vision for their branded content campaign when they walk through your door? And how do you strike that perfect balance between commercial goals and authentic storytelling? Today, I'll be discussing the art of pitching with Karlsson, Senior Pitch Director at Bonnier New Sales. We'll explore how to structure winning pitches, navigate the delicate balance between brand ambition and editorial authenticity that resonates with readers as well as viewers, and get an exclusive deep dive into one of their award-winning campaigns. Plus, Per even shares invaluable insights on industry trends and lessons learned from years of experience bridging the gap between advertisers and brand studio teams. Before we begin, a quick reminder that the Branded Content Awards program is now open for entries. For over a decade, this prestigious awards program has recognized excellence in branded content and native advertising worldwide. Don't miss out on the early bird rate currently available. This is your chance to showcase your best work and beat the competition. Enough said, let's roll. Welcome back to the Branded Content That Works podcast. Today's guest is Per Karlsson, Senior Pitch Director at Bonnier New Sales. Per heads up the strategic pitch process in one of Scandinavia's most ambitious media organizations. Bonnier News is Sweden's leading news powerhouse with flagship brands like Dagens Nyheter, Expressen and Dagens Industri, and has in recent years sharpened its commercial edge by building out a full-service sales and content offering. The pitch function acts as a bridge between advertisers, content planners, and editorial teams, ensuring that branded content ideas land with both creativity and commercial sense. Per knows both the brand side and the publisher side off the table. Today, we'll dig into how he structures winning pitches, balances brand ambition and editorial authenticity, and what he sees as the guardrails and risk areas in branded content today. So let's welcome Per Karlsson.
Thank you.
And Per, maybe you can start out by telling us a little bit about what a pitch director does, where he sits in Bonnier News, and how you guys are organized, because I believe you have quite a unique organizational structure in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's a pretty fancy title to run around with. In practice, it means I'm responsible for making sure our ideas and business proposals are of high quality. And I also present many of the pitches to the clients. And I work with innovation together with the rest of the production team. So we have one sales department and one production department, and we work very close together. So I'm a bit of a bridge between those. And my background is in TV production. So that's why I came to Bonnier News 9 years ago with the task of building a commercial TV department. And before that, I also worked in a production company. So by starting up an in-house production company with TV knowledge, that was my task. So knowing that, I can present the client offers with much knowledge of the production.
Yeah, and I hear you saying that you are kind of the bridge between the entire operation. And I could imagine that when it comes to definitions and opinion in terms of what defines branded content, there can be a bit of confusion at times, right?
Yeah, in Sweden there's a real confusion. We don't use the same terminology. Sometimes native advertising is called branded content and vice versa. And sometimes the editorial content also is called content, but the branded content and the native content is also content. So it's a bit confusing what you're trying to sell. So you have to start off by telling the clients your definition of what you're selling them.
And I know you work in the sales department of Bonnier. Is there any? Is there a difference on how to approach defining and explaining branded content, working on the sales side versus working on the production side, for example? Do you guys agree internally, or how are you aligned?
Yes, internally we agree. We have a big collaboration with all the editorial teams here at Bonnier, and yes, internally there's no confusion. But when you meet the clients and the competitors have different setups and different terminology, there is a bit of a confusion around this. But every editorial team here and every newspaper outlet, they know the difference between all these products. So it's not a problem internally.
So I'm hearing you saying there is a call for a shared terminology out there. Yeah, you're not the first to underline that urgency. Per, as usual, when I do this podcast, I've asked all my guests to bring what I call a studio quiz or question, either about yourself, your organization, or something related to the topic today. So I'm curious to hear what you've decided to bring to the table.
Yeah, my question is, how many people are in the biggest Slack channel on Bonnier News?
Oh, is it internal or external?
Yes, it's only internal.
Oh, you guys, you have such a big organization, and across markets too?
Yes.
Well, if I was to say 1,500, I know I'm far off. I could only imagine that you have a very healthy Slack culture. Is it a general one, or does it have a theme?
Well, I can give you that clue. It's the channel for the internal channel for job openings.
Okay, so it wasn't soccer. I would say, I go with a combination of some of my favorite numbers. So I'm going to say 4,799.
That's quite a good guess. It's 6,137. It gives you some idea of how big Bonnier News is.
Indeed it does. And that is a Slack channel that holds job offerings in-house.
Yes.
Oh, dear. I feel for HR on that one, I think.
yeah, but only some people are allowed to write there. Everybody can read, but not everyone can write in that chat.
Okay, so a little bit of moderation.
Yeah.
I also ask you to bring kind of a personal anecdote, just to give us a little bit of an insight as to who Per is and potentially what you've done in the past. We're all human in the space, so even though you hold the role as a pitch director with a fancy title, who is Per? So Per, please share your anecdote with us as well.
Yes, and this was 7 or 8 years ago. We were going to present a big and complex proposal for the betting company Betsson. I had around 20 slides with the idea, the packaging for native, and 2 other colleagues were also going to present, and they had about the same number of slides. Half an hour before we're leaving, one of them said he was sick and asked me to take his slides. That's very stressful, but I had no choice. I said yes, and I started to really quick go into his slides and learn what he was going to say. At that point, I knew I was taking a big risk because I knew I wasn't really able to handle any follow-up questions on his slides. And then there's about 5 minutes before we leave, the other colleague comes to me and says, this one is in English, right? And I said, what? And I totally panicked. And in the taxi on the way to the meeting, I tried to translate every slide that I had. It was all in Swedish, and I had tried to translate it in my head. And we got to the meeting, and there was a big setup with all the executives flew in from London, from the Betsson company. and I was sweating, and I had, I think, 2 really big blackouts, a mental breakdown, and a few times I tongue-tied, and I couldn't get the words out. So no, that was really, really awful, and I really learned from that that I always prepare on all the conditions in advance. I have to know every bit of my own presentation, but also what all the others are going to present, and I get a grip of all the big picture. And I always ask, who's going to be in the meeting? Is it in Swedish or English? So, yeah, it's very good to have some adrenaline rushing when you do the presentation, but this was something else.
Not that much.
No. So it's also that when I speak English like now, I also have an extra adrenaline rush because of that. That's become kind of a phobia for me, because it was so bad. And my other colleagues say, no, you did well. But I knew I was so terrible that time.
Did you win the client, Per?
No, not that time. We did that another time, actually. So we did.
So you got payback.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. But that time it was in Swedish, and yeah.
Yeah, panic translations is never good. That's where AI would have been a helpful hand in that situation, right?
Yeah. Imagine if we had AI back then. Yes, I would have done so much better. I would get a script in English at least.
I also know that you guys have taken a stand on how to work with AI internally. Isn't that right?
Yes, I know some of our competitors, they think that the AI will become the content, and they're selling it like that you can buy the AI-created content. We believe absolutely AI is the future, but we think of it as a tool to do better research, to get a better picture of the company that you're pitching to. So we use it every day, and we have internal tools that we use every day, but we don't create content that is AI. So that we've chosen that path, and we really think that is the right way, because it is questioned every day. Is this real or fake? And the social media it's drowning in AI for the moment. So I really think people like that we are always authentic in all the content that we produce.
Yeah, and I guess that authenticity, that's kind of the buzzword these days, but that's kind of key here. That, when you consume Bonnier News content, it is produced by humans. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. All right, Per, as part of today, I've also asked you to bring, I'm hoping one of your own favorite campaigns, put a campaign to the show and take us through basically the end-to-end process of the campaign. What campaign have you decided to bring today?
Well, this is the travel company Apollo and the campaign Go Live a Little.
All right, Per. So I think first of all, I would love to know, knowing that it was Apollo that you brought to the table, what was the client's challenge? What did they come to you wanting you to help them resolve through branded content?
Yeah, they were perceived as a small, boring, and anonymous travel company. And they wanted to become more edgy and more fun. So they reached out to 10 different production companies. We were one of them. And the brief was that they wanted to create a TV content series. So that was the brief. Yeah. And in the brief, it was clear that they wanted this content to revolve around a newly written song that they have planned to launch. So we were supposed to create something around a newly written song. Yeah, that was how the brief was. But we weren't entirely sold on the idea with the song. So we decided to focus on completely different aspects in our concept. Part of that was to highlight the advantages of native content. So we pretty much pitched native content as the key to how to get this content series successful. Another part was structuring it around the challenges and the rewards. We knew for our biggest title, Expressen, we knew that this was going to work so well with the celebrities and the travel. That's two hot topics. And if you handle the celebrities the right way, if you put them in these situations where things happen, so celebrities and small accidents and other happenings, we knew that that was going to be a success. So that's what we pitched, and that's also how we won this pitch, by not literally doing what they asked us to do. They asked us about this song concept, but we pitched something different, and they thought that was better than their own idea.
That's actually quite impressive, right? Because I guess killing darlings for potential new customers is not an easy discipline.
No. It takes some courage to go against the client in the brief.
Yeah.
But we knew
and
our
take me through the
concept was
process, because like, do you have to be like, is there a strategy when knowing that, yeah, we're not going to do that, and you're walking into a meeting telling your potential client that's not going to happen, here's what's going to happen? Like, how are you preparing a pitch like that? Because I could imagine that's a lot harder than just walking in and essentially describing, a top 20% on a solution that is already very aligned with the idea that the client had.
Yeah. Well, as I said, it takes some courage, but we had the data that showed that this was going to be successful. That was number one. And with the celebrities and travel and how that works on Expressen. But also, I think most clients like to be a bit challenged. They know all about their company, but when it comes to the channels that we own, we know everything about them. So by tailor making the content to fit into our titles, in this case, Expressen, they couldn't question it because we know what works on Expressen. So it's
you know your
safe.
audience.
Yes, we know our audience, and that's pretty safe to get into the argument about what will work and what will not work. So if they like the idea of this series being really, really successful on Expressen with the celebrities that we choose together, then we had to make sure that they like that idea first. Then we told them the song, well, great idea, but we think this is a better route to take. So when you get them on board with the first part, it's easier. You can't just go in there and confront them, telling them that they're wrong. So no. You have to do it gently. You have to be humble. You have to give them credit for knowing what they want. So they want it to be more fun, more edgy. So we told you can do this, and it will be more fun and more edgy without the song. But the song was part of the idea, but we
managed to combine it.
Yes, we managed to combine it, but it was so subtle, and it was such a little part in the nobody remembers that there was a song in the series as well. Nice. So just to make sure that we didn't go off brief too much, we were on brief with the song. So but we play that down.
I just noted that you said that you had data to kind of support your argument that this was a better route to take. Coming to clients with the data, showcasing benchmarks and letting that tie into the storytelling that you propose to a client, is that kind of a set practice every time that you go meet new clients, or is it Is there any time where you don't, present clients to data and start looking at the data?
If we have a completely new idea, we don't have the data. So, but if we have done something closely, then it's really, really good to first have the data and then the idea, so that you show they want to buy immediate success. So if they know that we've done with other clients kind of the same thing, in this case, we had something called Super Native, which is a TV clip that auto starts directly in the teaser. We knew that was going to get us many views and also a big completion rate.
Okay, yeah.
And then we had this new product, Feature Native, as we presented it, more of a magazine-style campaign page. And that was the new part. But you knew that the traffic, the readers and the views would be the same, but we would get more time spent by choosing this Feature Native, because it has different medias. It has the TV, the stills, and also fact boxes and interactive elements.
Gotcha.
So that we know that would drive time spent. And we could show that with other products that had more than one element in them. So by showing them that and then showing them, now we're building on that thesis with more media on the campaign page will create more time spent. So then they were pretty sold on that part. So it was a step-by-step process by us showing what works best at Expressen, and also presenting new ideas. So it was based
so the
on...
innovative element in this was actually the formats, and then you were building on I would say, a well-known recipe that you knew to work perfect with the audience at Bonnier.
Yeah, and
amazing.
The biggest reason why we knew this was going to succeed was the celebrities. Since if we choose the right celebrities, and we have a list of celebrities, both names and type of celebrities that works on Expressen. So we really know that celebrity will work really well. Yeah. So we have, for example, Erik Segerstedt, who is both a TV host and a singer, and he has that star charisma. By just presenting that this is his new mission to do this TV series, we knew that article in itself will be a success. So,
interesting.
Yeah, we handpicked all the celebrities so that we knew that they were very popular on Expressen.
Yeah, okay. And apart from the celebrity players in this campaign, who were the key players on your side? Obviously you, the pitch team, sales, but on the creative side and the editorial side, were there, like, how are you organized around this campaign to make it work?
Yeah, so the TV series was, that was the biggest part. So we had a producer, we had the production leader and project manager, and we had 2 photographers that also edited the content afterwards. So that's a big advantage, to have multi-competence in the team. So the project management was also involved in the production planning, not just the economics and the planning of the whole campaign. We were planning all the episodes in advance, because when you travel to, it was quite, we had not so
a tight schedule.
Yeah, a tight schedule.
Yeah,
that was
a
tight schedule. So we had to plan as we also did the recording. So it was 7 or 8 people in the team, but everyone in the team was doing more than one task. So that was one
So that's
key
also
element.
talent coming together at the right time. Yeah. What about the client? Were they involved during the shooting? Were they hands-on, or were they more trusting on your expertise, given that you've done this a million times before?
Both. They were trusting, but they were also on location in every destination. So, and they helped us a lot, getting all the permissions and so on, and they were part of the team. And also, it's much easier when you get to the next phase, when they're looking at the content, and we know they will have much more opinions if they weren't there. So by having them there, it's much easier. You were there.
Yeah,
you
because they were involved through.
Yeah, they were involved in
thing.
taking. Yeah. In all the decisions on location. So I think it's easier to produce in that way, to have the client involved at the recordings, working closely together. That was a winning concept. They also felt it was their content by having them that involved. It was at times they had a different opinion, but
I was just about to ask you, like with that type of intense collaborations, were the moment that either changed or almost changed the course of the project, or how do you manage to steer a process like that with a client that engaged?
It was three major discussions. It was, as always, the budget, but since we were very transparent with the budget, so they knew what our budget was, and we showed them our costs. So even if they wanted to extend to have more days on every destination, we said we can't afford that. And then it was 3 days to the next destination. So they wanted a bit more out of everything, and they made us work very long hours. But that's okay, because it was such a great team, and we were all having fun, and we knew this was going to be really, really good. It was high quality TV. So, but we had to say stop quite a few times. No, we can't do that. That's not in the budget. So that was one discussion. And the other one I already mentioned. It's about the time. When you're filming that much in one single day, you can't then on top of that plan the next day of filming. And how much would be planned between the trips. So that was a discussion, but we managed to get a good compromise within that time schedule. And then there was this third issue, and that was, how much should we alter the reality? They were used to filming commercials, and in the commercials, the travel companies, the ocean is clear blue and the heaven is, they were used to, we can do that in the editing afterwards, but we were more like, no, to get the authenticity, we can't.
The sun only sets once, right?
Yes, exactly. We can't change the reality. But they wanted to do these color corrections and so on, so everything would look perfect. But I think we won that argument by telling them that won't be authentic for a native content to look too much like a commercial. That's not good. People are not buying that everything is that perfect. So, and the results shows that we made the right decision there by not editing everything in detail and color correcting and so on.
And I'm hearing you say that you didn't experience having to do like key adaptations on set. But were there any decisions you made during the process of the shooting that elevated the campaign in any ways? Were there anything that you went, to the destination to find that this would be better, or this would actually be better if we change the scope ever so slightly, or change the scene ever so slightly? Or
that happens several times, and then it was so good to have the client present. Then you could make those decisions very fast. It was once or twice that I got a call in Sweden about something, but no, much was settled with the client at location. So we found that, it's better to shoot this at the hotel, because look how great of a view it is here. So you can't prepare for all the pictures. So you have to, you have to have that flexibility when you shoot it.
I would like to go a little bit back to talk about outcomes and client impact with you on this campaign as well. Now, we've talked a little bit about the pitch in the early stage and what the client wanted, but once you kind of sold them on the pitch, I'm imagining that you guys then had to do the KPI discussion as well and agree on some success criteria for the campaign. And I'm curious to hear what the KPIs were for this particular campaign.
Yeah, and that's best shown by showing you the case film with the where we can talk a little bit about that later.
Okay.
So we start off by showing the case film.
Perfect.
2023 was the year when travel company Apollo's TV format, Go Live a Little, transitioned from being a Swedish success to an international one, from being a newcomer to an established entity, from being a brand-building attitude changer to a true conversion machine. In 2022, when Apollo was looking to create a new way to communicate about their travel experiences, they turned to Brand Studio. This led to the creation of the multi-award-winning TV format, Go Live a Little, which was published on Expressen along with complimentary feature articles, unique still images, and interactive fact boxes. All ambitious goals for page views and TV streaming starts were shattered, with the final numbers being the best of all time for commercial content in Bonnier News channels. With the success they built in the first season, Apollo was now in a position to focus more on conversion for the second season. It was time to cash in. And of course, it was a fantastic success. Apollo completely crushed their sales figures month after month. The themes of travel and celebrities worked just as well in the second season as expected. The page views and streaming starts achieved were the second best of all time for Bonnier News. In 2023, Go Live a Little also conquered the rest of the world. The destinations featured expanded within Apollo's offerings, and through a smart and cost-effective production apparatus, the needs of the rest of the Nordic market could be met, all in one recording session, with the same brilliant content and unmatched quality.
Way! You did it!
Yeah, and as you heard, we did 2 seasons, and in the first season, we had the KPIs of viewing time and reach, and they were we were at the time that was the most successful campaign ever on Expressen, and then for the second season, they also wanted the conversion, so they wanted to sell the trips. So we did it a bit different, and we also took in the other Nordic countries. So it was a larger production, and also with that bit of selling the trips. So the campaign page looked a bit different, but the results were just as good, because they beat their own sales record in January, and then they did it in February as well. And our campaign was December to January. So they did different things than just with us, but we were a big part in their sales success those months. So yeah, different KPIs, but we managed to crush all the goals both seasons.
And I instantly saw that it must have had a Nordic touch, because there were a few familiar faces in there. And I can tell you, Per, you chose well, because Thomas Evers, he's a darling in Denmark.
Yeah.
When it comes to the conversion. When it comes to the conversion, though, there's one thing I want to ask you, because obviously branded content and native can be used for conversions, but there's a lot of discussion as to whether branded content just sits in the top or mid funnel and not so much on the conversion. So what did you guys do in order to make sure that the native you created for conversions did not feel pushy or too salesy in any way, but more so natural because it was part of the branded content campaign?
Yeah, so the TV content wasn't the part that was converting. So that was all brand lift. But we placed it in the context with ads of the same trip that was shown in the TV series, and that was the package price for your family would be this. So it was a different call to action than we had before, which was just visit the Apollo website. This time, the second season, it was you can buy this now for this price. So it was the exact same travel package as shown in the TV series. So that was, it wasn't pushy at all in the TV content. That I think that's key, because if you change that, then it will become more of a commercial. So that's why it's so, you wouldn't do that as editorial content, then you shouldn't do it as branded content. So we also in that part, it was a discussion because the client wanted the TV content also to be a bit more presenting the hotels and so on. And we thought that, no, we do that in a different way on the campaign side, not in the TV content.
Okay.
And since we have had so much success with them, they went with our idea. And
I was just about to say, and then repeat business too. You ended up doing 2 seasons, so I imagine that counts as a longer lasting client relationship, right?
Yeah, and we also did other content stuff and their social media and so on. So the total business was more than just these 2 seasons of the TV series. So it really was a good collaboration, and we found what was best for the client, and the client understood what would work on Expressen. So they really got good at native because they realized that, we're being too pushy, that's too much commercial. And they began to understand what we've been telling them all the time, and they could argue, will that really work on Expressen, and so on. So we kind of switched teams in some discussions because they got to know our product so well.
So they kind of, at the end, they shared your DNA.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wonderful. I'm a bit curious too, Per, to when like a type of campaign like this, obviously taking the season into account, is the editorial side of Bonnier or Expressen, are they in any way involved? Like, is there editorial stories produced around the topic of traveling at the same time that is not native and not branded, but merely pure editorial? Or how does it work?
In this campaign, no, there wasn't.
Okay.
There was travel content, but not because of our campaign. But we have developed, that's one of our newer products that we call the hybrid. That consists of a larger reporting on a subject from the editorial team, and then we put the native in that context. So that is one thing that we sell at the moment, but this was 3 years ago, so we didn't have that product then.
Church and state was still very separate. Yeah. The industry changes a bit. That's so interesting. In terms of this campaign, now I'm just gonna lessons learned, but we already touched a little bit upon how things can pivot. Were there anything where you would say this was a really, really valuable lesson learned when you did this campaign?
Yeah, I've been touching on that subject before, but the lesson was it's good to be a chewing gum. Give the client some constructive resistance. You just don't buy what they're saying in the brief, and the client isn't always right. The clients make the decisions, but they're not always right. So they like to be challenged sometimes. And yeah, that really is a lesson learned. That have made us more brave when we pitch and when we discuss things with our clients. So, but if it's we're risking of, we take the risk of losing the business, but we think that's best for the client by doing such an argument. They really believe us. So that's that's one.
I like that image.
Yeah, the bubble gum. Yeah,
The bubble gum. Yeah.
Yeah, and also.
Is there anything that you would have liked to done differently in this pitch if you were to pitch it today?
Well, maybe I would have in the first season changed that the trips were a bit they were a bit the same. We would have changed so they would differ more, I think.
Okay.
But we managed to do the episodes. One doesn't look like the other, but what we had to work with in the different destinations, they're pretty much the same, and that's why you travel with a travel company to you buy into that concept that it looks the same. But I think the second season it was more different. I think we would have, it would be even better the first season if we've had more different destinations.
Destinations, okay. Per, how does this campaign with Apollo reflect trends that you're seeing in branded content in Sweden and beyond, if it does?
Yeah, one thing is that you really get the value in your content if you allow the budget to be a bit larger. So this couldn't have been this big of a success if we did this just with stills or just by describing the destinations. So it's by making it big, it has all those big numbers. So that's very important to show for the clients that if you invest, you will get the payback. So I think that was a trend until just this year, when they become more defensive with the budgets. So we really had some great cases where the investment was a bit higher than normal, and the result was really, really, really good.
Okay. But I'm also hearing you say that you sense a shift in client expectations recently, and also in their...
Yeah, and that expectation we've also been talking about, that's the conversion. So they want all the brand build, and they also want the conversion. And then you have to work in different ways so they can get return of investment. Otherwise, they're not willing to invest in those large budgets. So I can really feel that is a change. They want to have return on investment pretty fast. They don't work with a
So a lot more short term and very performance specific now mentality.
Yes. Yeah, performance. Really, they want even the native campaigns to perform, and that wasn't the case just some years ago. They knew that they will get in the long term they will get their investment back, and many times so. But now they want to show their numbers this year. It will increase sales. So yeah, that is a big difference in how the clients write their briefs.
And have you, because I imagine you were also saying this is something that you've detected within the last year or so. So I'm also imagining you have to develop new strategies for convincing clients to stick to their guns, to remind them that if you want to do brand awareness and if you ultimately want to create something that sticks, you need to be more patient.
Yeah. Yeah, really. We have to sharpen our bullet points on why you should do this. And also, we have to innovate and create new products that in some ways is to convert.
Yeah, so in terms of conversion, they will get there eventually.
Yeah.
If they trust you and they trust the work that you do and the content that
process,
you allow the content to work for them. Yeah. I've asked you to also think of what I call a shout out. We're moving into the part of the podcast where you are allowed to either, like in Denmark, we actually have a term called ananas i egen juice, so pineapple that sits in its own juice. You can either promote something that you've done yourself. You can give a shout out to someone in the industry that you think have done remarkable work, kind of, you know, maybe something that you even wanted to be part of. Or you can promote that brilliant pitch you still have lying in your desk, just waiting for the right client to arrive at Bonnier News.
As the humble man I am, I want to give a shout out.
Okay.
Yeah. In Sweden, we have the grocery chain Lidl. It's actually German, but they have big accounts on social media, and they do this fantastic content. But the last month, their competitor, Hemköp, I think they've really nailed a great concept on TikTok.
Okay.
It's a mix of content and sketches, and it has such a great tone. And I absolutely love one of their talents, Carl Tuleus. I think he's going to be Sweden's next big TV host. And I really like the humorous way that they're making their content. It's unique, and it's also an answer to what both ICA and Lidl have done, but they have done it in their own way. So you need to watch that on TikTok. Hemköp.
Wow. We need to make sure that we add that in the show notes of today. And personally, that might be the reason why I have to go in and reinstall TikTok on my phone.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Last but not least, Pierre, we have one final thing left, and that is the karaoke. If you and I were to meet in a karaoke bar and you were gonna, win, if you can win in karaoke, I think you can win in karaoke. Yes. If you were to at least challenge me on the karaoke floor, what would your song be?
It will be the Swedish song Rum I regnet. That's Rum in the Rain with the Swedish legend Ulf Lundell. I'm a really big fan of Lundell. And there are a few special names strongly connected to him. One of them is Isabella. That's the name of one of his many ex-girlfriends. And that's also my oldest daughter's name. And a friend of mine, the TV host, Jessica Almenäs, she and I, we had our first children at the same time. So her son is called Jack, which is probably the most classic Lundell name of them all. So we went to this Lundell concert, and we were pushing strollers with license plates that said Isabella and Jack. And people were really looking at us. Well, she's a celebrity, everybody looked. But I thought they were also looking at me because of that idea. And in fact, Jessica and I have performed Rum I regnet at the Rolls-Royce of karaoke scenes, the Finland ferry. So,
that's true.
So I know where the bar is set, and I think you and I, we can jump over that bar and top that performance.
I think you're giving me an idea. Don't be surprised if at some time in the distant, not so distant future, there will be a Finnish ferry cruise with a karaoke battle, right?
Yeah.
We should aim for it at least.
Yes, great. I'm all for it, yeah.
All right, Per. Thank you so much for taking your time to join me today and to tell us all about the Apollo campaign. And I'm hoping to see you and the rest of the Bonnier News team very soon at one of our future events. But until then, take care.
Yeah, thank you.
That's it for today's episode. If you like what you've heard today, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. The Branded Content That Works podcast is brought to you by the Native Advertising Institute, the global one-stop shop for media companies and agencies wanting to succeed with branded content. And more importantly, this is the world's biggest and best tribe of strategic and creative minds working in the space. If you want to join our tribe, you should consider joining the NAI Plus community. Simply go to www.nativeadvertisinginstitute.com to read all about this membership and what it has to offer you. And if you have great work from 2025 to put on display, I would strongly urge you to enter it into the Branded Content Awards Program 2026. The program is now open for entries. I'm Stine Holmgaard. Thank you for listening. Until next time.